This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 120. And welcome to Comic Geek Speak. I'm Brian Deemer.
I'm Tasha Deemer.
I'm Shane Kelly.
I'm Matt.
I'm Peter Rios.
I love my family too much to risk their lives. Come on, Chris, we're leaving.
Oh, no, you're not.
Oh, please don't make me angry, pal. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Hey, guys, how you doing? We're back. We're back live. This episode is sponsored by Make Like a Tree Comics. www.mlatcomics.com is the joint imaginations and productivity of Jerzy Drozd and Sarah Turner. After meeting through their initial online comics, The Front and File 49, they quickly started work on several new comics and formed Make Like a Tree in 2005 as their own online and print self-publishing company. With the mutual agreement that comics should be fun and adventurous, like the Saturday morning cartoons they grew up on, they created an entire line of comics for kids of all ages. And on the phone with us is Jerzy. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you guys?
Doing pretty good. So, Jerzy, let's just quick start. What got you into comics? Well, how'd you start reading comics?
Wow. All the way back to when I was really little. I was fortunate in that my parents came home one day with a big stack of Silver Age comics that got really cheap. And so I grew up on Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen and Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, and I grew up thinking that for a long time that comics were like that. And then when I was in 5th grade, someone introduced me to Alpha Flight. And to go from Green Lantern to Alpha Flight was a big shock for me. And so, I mean, it's as long as I can remember, it's always been comics for me. In Sarah's case, it was very different. She only recently, in the last couple of years, started drawing comics. And before that, she was a photographer and a mixed media artist. And it's really interesting to work with her because of the fact that she has such a fresh outlook on what comics can be, because she didn't grow up with all the same stuff that I did.
Now, even though you jumped onto that Alpha Flight and I assume got into other comics that weren't like those early Silver Age, they still held a place for you, those Silver Age comics?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm reading one of the archive editions of the Doom Patrol right now, Volume 2, and my gosh, so good. There's a cover of one of the issues where it's a giant purple robot piloted by Monsieur Mala, and he's swinging a submarine at Elastigal. and it's just, that to me is comics perfection, as corny as it sounds. I love that stuff.
And I guess you also grew up on Saturday morning cartoons?
Oh, yeah, I'm a child of the 80s, and so is Sarah. So my work has always been informed by that kind of stuff. G.I. Joe, the Transformers, Jason the Wheel Warriors, Mask, all that stuff. And The Front was highly, highly influenced by that storytelling style, but eventually we wound up doing Silver and the Periodic Forces, which when we did that, we said, let's do it exactly like the Saturday morning cartoon. Let's even have the commercial breaks, and let's have the lesson at the end, and let's make it accessible to everybody.
Well, let's talk about the site a little bit. On the site, under your comics section, you have The Front, you have File 49, Silver and the Periodic Forces, and The Replacements. And they are web comics. You have like 6 issues of The Front, I saw, 8 of File 49, 2 issues of Silver, and 3 of The Replacements. And each one is listed differently as a different genre. Front is action-adventure. File 49 is complete sci-fi. Sci-fi. Silver and the Periodic Forces is sci-fi adventure, and Replacements is action. And Shane, you read that Silver, right? And while he was describing it, you were right with him, right?
Yeah, I'm giggling at these advertisements. They're great. That is absolutely hilarious. That's exactly what I was thinking when I was reading through. I'm like, they even put the advertisement breaks in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad that you enjoyed that. That was exactly what we wanted to do. Like, you're watching G.I. Joe, and the plane's going to crash, and then they say, G.I. Joe will be back right after these messages. And so we structured the story even that way. We said, let's do it in 5-page increments where we have a first cliffhanger, the villain shows up, second cliffhanger, the heroes are in danger, and then, end the show. So
why... Oh, go ahead. You were going to say something?
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Why the target audience that you chose?
What is the target audience?
Why did you choose the all ages? You wanted something that could appeal to all ages. So
well, I hasten to emphasize that this wasn't a reaction to anything.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't us saying, "Oh, comics should only be for kids," or that comics have gotten too gritty. I love adult comics too. Like, V for Vendetta is one of the greatest reads. I can't wait to hear your guys' book of the month on that. It's one of the best comics I've ever read in my life. And Dark Knight Returns, I tell everybody, you got to read Dark Knight Returns. You can't consider yourself a comic artist and not have read Dark Knight Returns. But what really appeals to me, what I always go towards for my just leisurely entertainment is, children's entertainment, like cartoons. Muppets Take Manhattan, Great Muppet Caper, two of the greatest films ever made, in my opinion. So when I started doing the front back a couple of years ago, I said to myself, I want it to feel like the cartoons where it's fun, it's lighthearted, the characters are really vibrant, and it gets heavy, but never so heavy that you forget that you're just having a good time. And so there was never any let's do it, a focus group and find out what our audience is going to be or anything like that. It was just Sarah and I just sort of saw eye to eye on that. She's a huge Harry Potter fan, so she wanted to write stuff like that. Although File 49, I would say is more of a teen book than Harry Potter is.
Right. No, it's great. So, there's a place for it, and there's certainly enough criticism that there should be more of what you're providing in the mainstream books. So if it's not in the mainstream, you might as well look for it elsewhere, and here's a good spot.
I'll tell you keep talking about the things you like and influence you, and you're just winning me over. That's all my favorite stuff.
Shane's a big Muppet fan.
Oh, yeah, the Muppets. Jim Henson he's my yardstick that I always measure myself by.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. It's a shame. I wish they would get back to do more with that, but now that Disney owns it, I'm really scared.
Yeah, it just wasn't the same after Muppets Take Manhattan.
That's
it really
right.
wasn't the same after that.
Nope, never has been.
So I'm going to read some of this descriptions of each of these, and you can certainly feel free to comment. This is for the front. Thousands of years ago, an alien ship crashed on Earth. Fragments of its metal were shaped into powerful weapons by people across the globe. Now the ancient and ruthless sword user schemes to capture the bow user's son, whose seemingly mediocre powers are the key to humanity's doom. And that was you sent info that it's been recently launched on www.comicworks.com, and that's with 3 Ks, KOMIKWERKS.com, and is updating daily until mid-April, after which it will run weekly. Also on Comics Works is a comic called PPV, which Jerzy co-created with Tim Root of Adult Swim's Robot Chicken.
But Tom Root, actually, but yeah.
Oh, what did I say? I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I just want to make sure that Tom doesn't get mad at me later.
So, go ahead. Talk about the front a little bit.
Okay, well, the front is, again, this wasn't a reaction to anything. I wasn't trying to change the landscape of superheroes or anything, but I knew I wanted to do a superhero story, and the front has been a story I've wanted to do since I was a teen. And when I sat down to do it for the web launch, I asked myself, okay, well, Spider-Man and Batman, in my mind, are the final word on the superhero who goes out to save lives. And I said, well, okay, if a teen today got powers, would he say to himself, well, I got to go stop muggers? And my answer was no. When I was 17, I would say, oh, wow, I can shoot energy out of my eyes. Now, what video games are out? That was I was a very self-centered 17-year-old, as most of us are. And so I wanted to approach it that way. What would it take to get this kid to be a hero? Well, he's going to have to be on the run. So he finds out in your standard fairy tale motif, you're an important kid in this grand battle that's been going on for thousands of years that you didn't know about, and you have to decide whether or not you're going to step up to the plate and be a hero about it, or if you're just going to hide. And that's what the whole series is about. That's the in a nutshell. But it's also, it has this big mythological background with these ancient weapons users all fighting amongst themselves, and Thirsty, the main character, being the key to this. But there's also a lot of over-the-top elements, like there's the abominable snowman named Jared, who's for some reason been hired as a mercenary to work for the sword user. And, they stop to get slushies when they're supposed to be capturing Thirsty. And you got these other over-the-top mercenaries like Dick, who's like this technical guy. He's got all sorts of crazy guns that talk to him. So, again, it's a mix of the kind of silly stuff you see in cartoons like G.I. Joe, like Shipwreck had a parrot that talked to him, but then you got the heavy stuff, like the bad guys wanting to enslave all of mankind.
And then we can go to File 49, which is Sarah Turner. That's her book. The description is, Keith has never done well around people. With the ability to read other people's thoughts, Keith has learned to live life as a loner. So needless to say, when he's instructed to pick up two kids that possess the same strange mark that rests on his arm, things don't go smoothly. In fact, it goes from bad to worse when a harmless journey to discover their forgotten past turns into a race for their lives where truth is hidden and trust is a struggle. Join Keith, Josh, and Truly as they try to uncover the secret of not only themselves, but of the file that brought them together, File 49. And it seemed like, and I'm probably, being just very generic and generalizing with my comments, but it almost had like a very, very light X-File flair. There's obviously this deeper mystery, and their appearances make you realize that there's something going on with the three of them. Obviously, they're even connected more than just the mark. I enjoyed this one. It was really interesting.
I'm glad. Yeah, File 49 has gotten a very, very good reaction, and I think it's because of that. It's straight-up sci-fi character drama, and I think comparing it to things like X-Files is a fair comparison. I've even compared it to that with Sarah, and she didn't wrap me in the mouth for it. So, but yeah, it's definitely the most teen book of all of them. There's light moments with the characters, but it's not. Nobody gets an anvil dropped on their head or anything like that. It's light character moments, not light comedy moments.
Right.
And it's similar to the front in that it's not these kids who wake up with these powers and say, oh, let's go do something for the good of mankind. It's, oh, there's this bad guy and he wants to catch us. And why did we get these powers? Why does Josh look so much like Keith? That's kind of strange, isn't it? So it's a kids on the run story, but these three people who it's what the characters do for each other and how they grow to care about one another while being on the run from this malicious force.
And then we can go to Silver and the Periodic Forces, and this one was just all-out fun. In the year 2287, the galaxy is in peril. One by one, solar systems are being destroyed by a villainous organization known as the Cadre Catastrophe. With the help of his friends in the Earth Protection Force, as well as the magic glove that summons warriors representing each of the chemical elements, Silver fights to stop the... Is it Cadre or Cadre? Cadre, thank you, from destroying the galaxy. I was actually just watching Mystery Men the other night, and there's a whole scene about Cadre, and no, it's Cadre. Sorry about that. All right. So you did talk about that one a little bit, that one was very heavily influenced by the Saturday cartoons.
Oh, yeah. And actually, Silver was the very first comic I ever wrote in 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
And the concept has stayed pretty similar to what I originally intended. When I was a little kid, I remember being really into the Metal Men, and then someone introduced me to the concept of the periodic table, and I was like, man, there's all these elements, and what if each of them was a superhero? You just have, like, a billion superheroes. So the original concept was this alien Silver who represented the silver on the periodic table could summon all the other ones with his magic glove. So I kept that. But we introduced the whole concept of the Earth Protection Force to give it kind of a military feel, and then, of course, you got your intergalactic gangsters trying to destroy the Earth. And this is the one that I recommend whenever I'm at a show or convention. Somebody says, do you have any kid-friendly books? That's the one. I mean, that's the one that there's no way a parent's going to be upset about it. Maybe the violence, but even then, it's the kind of limited violence that you would see in G.I. Joe. If a plane blows up, there's going to be a parachute.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything in there that even compares to what they could possibly see today, even with like the Batman.
No. This is good old-fashioned 80s cartoon fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no mistaking that I'm a child of the 80s when you read that.
And this one is in color, and Sarah's artwork on this one is she really has that style that just captures. It's almost like all you have to do is open it up and look at one page, and you automatically know what you're reading.
Well, that's great. I'm really glad to hear that, and I'm glad that you guys just got a kick out of it. I never know anymore. What part of the reason that I wanted to get an ad on for the show was that I really want to find out, is this stuff strong enough to go into the direct market? And that's something the front is ending right about the time Brian's babies do, and I want to get it collected in a trade paperback and put it out there. But I really don't know. I mean, I'm getting a good reaction from the internet, but I have no idea how it would float in the direct market. So hearing you guys say that you got a kick out of it. It's definitely encouraging.
Well, anytime that you put phony ads and commercial breaks into a comic, man, I'm all for it. That's fantastic.
Plus, you're playing with the idea of what a comic is, you know, by doing that, by throwing in the ads, especially in a comic that it would make sense for you to do that. Like you said earlier, Jerzy, you know, you can read V for Vendetta and Dark Knight Returns, but every now and then it is kind of nice to just kind of read something that you just read and you don't. You enjoy it, and you don't have to then go read 20 other books to understand it. You know, it's just it's what it is.
Yeah. There was an interview with Keith Giffen recently, and I remember hearing him saying something like, "It's no fun to read a book sometimes when you need to have a thesis on the characters in order to get on board." And while I enjoy inside information as much as the next guy, I'm a huge Transformers fan, and I loved it when Beast Wars came out. And they made references to things from the old series that only us old fans got. That was great. But at the same time, when I started my books, I wanted them to have a very low entry fee.
Right.
You know, you don't need to know a lot. All you need to do is, do you want to read something that's some light entertainment that's going to make you smile a little bit? Okay.
Well, and in my head, when I'm going through this and I see these ads and it says Silver and the periodic forces will return after these messages, the G.I. Joe music's going off in my head, and I know exactly what it is. I mean. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
And then the other one you sent was Replacements. When museum employee Helen is instructed to assess a mysterious collection of strange objects, she gets more than a mildly interesting day on the job. She gets a gallery full of crazy monsters bent on destruction. Her only hope lies in a malfunctioning cowboy robot and a displaced 50s greaser.
I think this sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, cowboy robots, that's something I fight to get into our work all the time, and Sarah fights me tooth and nail. I wanted to do a Western with robots, so that would be the most fun thing in the world, and she won't let me do it.
Oh, that sounds fun, actually.
Hey, you have stuff out there like Firefly, and it's popular. I mean, even though the show got canceled, I'd go for it. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I at least got a cowboy robot into the Replacements, so I'm content. But, yeah, The Replacements is a series that I would describe it as a 1930s serial told in sort of amped-up Silver Age style with sci-fi elements. That's how I would describe it. I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but, yeah, it's just I wanted to do a book where I got to draw as many crazy monsters as I could. I love Jack Kirby monsters. I love drawing them. I love trying to draw Jack Kirby monsters. Yeah. So the series is about these three people, each with their own special kind of weapon. Duke, the robot, has these rifles in his forearms, and Helen has this bracelet that can summon monsters, and this character, Bruce, has this mysterious orb that can do just about anything. And they're part of the reason it's called The Replacements is because they're part of this legacy of this old hero from the 50s named Chase Magnanimous. And they're sort of stepping up to the plate to fulfill his legacy, stopping this old supervillain that everybody's forgotten about.
Cool. Why was Silver color and the rest black and white? Was it just because of the that's the one that you're really pushing?
Actually, that has more to do with the fact that we knew if it was going to be an all ages book and definitely styled in Saturday morning cartoon style, it had to be in color. There's no question about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And also, we felt that the other books are. I think they're accessible to kids, but I would say that, File 49 and The Front are definitely more geared to, like, the 13-year-olds. And I remember when I was 13 and I discovered Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics, it was, like, the most exciting thing in the world because it looked so good, but it was still black and white.
Right.
So I think my mind was ready for black and white comics at that time, and I'm hoping that it's the same way for kids now, especially with manga, being so big now. I think kids are okay with that, older kids. But as far as younger kids, I think full color was absolutely essential. It wouldn't feel like a cartoon otherwise.
Right. No, yeah, that's a good point. You also have down here, just wanted to get this out, that your Sarah will be speaking at the Women Writers Conference next month, actually April 20th through the 23rd. She'll be sitting in on a graphic novel quorum with artists Phoebe Glockner, Lauren Weinstein, and Amy Kim Ganter.
Right, Amy Kim Ganter.
Mm-hmm. And you guys will be at Heroes Con. Cool.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that. We got some new books coming out. We've got The Origin of Jared, which is the Abominable Snowman from the Front, doing a standalone piece about him and how he came to work for the bad guys in the Front. second issue of Silver just came out. We're to take that down to Heroes Con. And as well as the File 49 graphic novel. I mean, that's been out for about a month now, 260 pages, and it's $15. It's not bad.
And all these, even though you're saying like the second issue of Silver is coming out, there you can still see a lot of these issues on your website, and you have a forum, and you have desktop images, and also a whole forum about crafting your own comics. Was there anything else on the website you wanted to point out, make sure listeners know about?
Well, the thing that I wanted to point out is like I said, we're trying to feel the waters out about see if mainstream comics readers would even feel this stuff is strong enough to go to the direct market. But also, we know that online comics aren't for everybody, and we know that print comics aren't for everybody. We're trying to do both. So we're releasing everything we do for free, with some exceptions. Most of our stuff, with 200-something pages, is for free on our site. So you don't have to take a chance. That's our strategy. Is that okay? Well, you want to try out the front? Well, you can read it for free. How cool would it be if Marvel and DC put their entire libraries online for free, and then you could just pick and choose which ones you wanted? Mm-hmm. Because, like you guys have said in past podcasts, you want to hold the book in your hand. I come from the '80s. Me too. I absolutely want to have the thing in print. But if you don't care, you can just read it online.
Right.
So.
And definitely, you can, like you said, you can read a lot of this material on your website for free. And I think that alone is such a great selling point to just try it out, take a chance.
Yeah. It lowers the entry fee. It's like you guys talk about books coming out, and you're like, well, just give it a shot. Well, and then you say, well, if you want to support independence, you got to pre-order the books. Well, This way you could if we were to go to the direct market, which I want to do, you could give the book a chance online and then pre-order it, and then you could have it in your hands. You could support the independent guy, but you wouldn't be taking such a chance on spending $3 is a lot of money for a comic book nowadays. I remember when they were 75 cents.
Yeah.
So, to put $3 down on a chance that you might not even like it is kind of a bummer.
Great. So is that it? Everything you? I say go because I know what especially when we do the indie challenge. It's sometimes we get the comments or we get emails of what else is this story about, or what else is this issue about, and then I go try to get previews or whatever and post it up for the listeners. But really, like in the '80s, it was just pick up a book and read it. If the cover looked cool, read it. Or if you flipped through and you went, oh, I kind of like this, you read it. You didn't need 20,000 interviews and 35 preview pages and then to also listen to a podcast to hear, you know what I mean? Like, you just took a chance. So, and that's what, when you contacted us about this, and I saw the website and I went, wow, look at this. They're doing it and they're giving it away practically, and you have a chance to also own it if that's what you care to do. So
Yeah, and also this way we know when we make a sale, they're really into the material.
Yep.
It's not somebody that we tricked. It's not somebody that we said, they liked the cover, but then they bought it, and now they're stuck with it. And I'm not saying that's what major companies do. I'm just saying that to me this feels a little bit more honest. We're not asking anybody for anything. If you want to buy it, that's great, but we're just as happy if you just read it. We got day jobs. We'll be okay.
Well, we have a lot of listeners who have kids, so this is definitely here is kid-friendly material for them, for both the parents and the kids to enjoy.
I hope so. I sincerely hope so. And I want to thank you guys very much for not just for giving me this chance, but also just all the coverage you guys do of independent stuff and how open-minded you are about it is really refreshing. It really is. I really feel like, okay, these are guys that I want to talk to because they're not on either end of the spectrum as far as snootiness, because there's a lot of independent snobs and there's a lot of mainstream snobs, and you guys are perfectly in the middle.
We're medium snobs. Is that what you're saying?
Mediocre snobs.
Yeah.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Cool. Great.
Yeah, I just like to read comics.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to after a while.
I don't really care. I mean, I've gotten into so much stuff because of the show, all these independents and stuff, and they're fun, and I'm glad that I've opened myself up to just reading them because there's a lot out there that's good.
I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's what's so entertaining about your show is listening to you guys open up to something that you wouldn't have tried before, and it's always in a sense of celebration. It's always like, wow, can you guys believe this? Isn't this great? And that's the kind of conversations I used to have when I was 13.
Yeah.
And it really makes me feel like that again. So that's terrific.
I mean, if back in the 80s, if I was able to read Captain Carrot, Amazing Man, and Peter Porker, yeah, like there's no reason why I should not be able to read it now too, and still enjoy it, or read comics that are like that and have that same light feel to it. You know, if that's what you grew up on, Richie Rich, that's what you grew up on. You know, why would you not go back?
I just picked up some Captain Carrots at Baltimore last year.
Yep.
So I could read them and then pass them on to my kids.
So go out there and get your Make Like a Tree comics.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Have
much.
a good rest of the night.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I really like some of their stuff.
Yeah.
What I was looking at when I got on the website, I was looking at. I expected when you sent the link, I expected just a few pages, and I'm like,
No,
there's
there's
whole
a lot
books,
of,
man.
Yeah, there's no reason that you
No.
don't even have to read one issue. Read 3 issues if you want.
Yep.
They're all there, and they're all worth
there.
it. So Brian, Tasha,
Welcome back.
how was
Yes.
how was your vacation?
The vacation was,
It was
excellent.
great. Yeah.
I have to give a big shout out to Omar Egan and Tikoman and Britoman.
Did you meet all of them?
Yeah, well, I did not meet El Sensei.
Did you hold him at least?
I held, yes.
You cobbled
I
him.
had Sensei in my
Did you
lap.
pet him?
And I did not get to meet Lulius because he had surgery right before we got down there, so he was holed up in his house recovering. So I didn't get to meet him either.
But and a shout out to Veronica.
Oh yeah, Omar's
Omar's
wife
wife.
Veronica. I mean, they were just so. I mean, we stayed at their house for 10 days, you know,
Wow.
and they took us around everywhere, and cooked us meals and paid for dinners, and it was just, it was awesome. So, a really big thanks to everyone down there in El Salvador. It's a very cool country, and they don't have a big tourism industry now. So it's if you like to travel but you don't like to be jam-packed in with all the tourists, it's a good spot because, man, there aren't any down there almost at all. So you have the place to yourself.
What did you do a podcast with them at all or no?
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Episode 53 of Los Comiquicos has I'm on it, doing the best I can in Spanish, and but you'll hear bits of English because they had to explain some things to me.
Right.
And I also sat in on Omar does 4 podcasts.
Oh, my God.
4 different ones. And one of them's called La Charamusca, which is all about El Salvador. And I sat in on an episode of that where they interviewed. They actually get important people from El Salvador to come to Omar's house and interview him in person.
Wow.
They don't do them over the phone. And they had a guy named Francis Fancy, who's the most popular magician in all of El Salvador. He does like some crazy, like David Blaine kind of like stunts.
Nice.
and magic. In fact, he did a little magic right there. And so I sat in on that one. I didn't say a heck of a lot. I think I said hello and goodbye. But I was in on that one too.
It would have been nice to sit in on the other one that they did while we were there, but we missed it. Was with was he a biologist
Yeah.
that was their teacher in high school, Omar's teacher, and he was a really interesting guy, and he knows all sorts of stuff about El Salvador and the wildlife there, and he was pretty cool. We talked to him a little bit when they were done, podcasting.
He's like the podcast king
You're not
down
kidding.
there. Jeez.
Wow.
Man, yeah, he does Latin tech talk, and one about music, and then and they're all in Spanish, and then La Charamusca and Los Comiquicos. So I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. They do each one of them once a week, but still, that's 4 podcasts a week.
Yeah.
And there are different people on each one, but Omar does all of them.
Jeez.
So
So Veronica's got a lot of people coming in and out of that
that's
house.
right. Yeah.
So he's like
I
the
feel her pain.
El Salvadorian you?
Yes.
that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
exactly.
Really, he is like they're
Well, yeah,
almost the same person.
That's kind of true because we do 3. I mean, it's not like we're doing 3 different ones, but 3 episodes a week now. I mean, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
Well, plus he's a big Groove fan, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, he
he
is.
loves Groove.
Yeah.
He actually, Omar himself, does not read a lot of comics. He's kind of like just the producer, and Tikoman is like he's the biggest fan of comics that Omar had, and then the other guys, are all into comics are all comics fans too. But like Tikoman and Omar have been friends since like 1st grade or something. So,
Cool.
But yeah, so he reads some stuff that they give him, and he gets in on the conversation. But it's really the other guy's show,
But he's like super techie, you know, like
Oh, yeah,
likes
big
all
time.
the tech stuff, like Brian.
He is like
so
Brian,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm serious. They're like the same person in different countries.
Brian from Earth.
That's all
2.
Veronica and
Yeah.
Tasha did was talk about, they're the same in this way.
Oh, yeah,
and the same in
Misery
that
enjoys
way.
company. Huh?
They both get up early. They
What was
do
the
everything.
What was the
same.
best thing you saw out in El Salvador? I saw the
Best
pictures of that
thing.
mountain. What was that?
Man.
Was it a mountain? Volcano? What the
Volcano.
heck?
Yeah, that was actually in
Yeah.
Guatemala,
Oh, okay.
in the city of Antigua.
There's a lot of volcanoes there, both extinct, dormant, or active. So all over the country, there's volcanoes.
The whole country is all hills. It's like if you took a flat placemat and pushed it from both ends in the middle and
Oh,
just
yeah,
scrunched
yeah.
all up. That's their entire country. It's just hill after hill after hill. There's almost no flat space in the entire place.
Did you see some kind of pyramids or buildings?
Yeah, the Mayan ruins,
Mayan
which
ruins,
is,
okay.
for me, that was the best part. I mean, it's just, these things are over 1,000 years old. Some of them are close to 2,000 years old.
Wow.
And it's just incredible. Like the sense of energy that you get there is like just. I mean, it's probably from my imagination as a kid. I loved pyramids and all that stuff and ancient
Yeah,
civilizations.
same here.
And then you're standing there, and there it is, right in front of you. And these aren't even that big. Like there are ones in Guatemala and a place called Tikal that are really tall. These aren't that tall, but it's still just like, whoa. These are the things that were here 1,000 years ago in these great civilization, and all these thousands of people were walking around and it's like, oh.
And what's crazy is you're looking at these, and then you see these hills next to them that they know are more ruins, but they don't have them. The government doesn't have the money to uncover them and then keep
okay.
them,
Right,
maintain
right.
them. So they're safer to be still covered up. So you're like looking at the hills, and you're like, God, I wonder what that looks like underneath there. It's just awesome.
That has to be one time period that if I ever got the time travel backwards, I would love to go see what the civilizations of the pyramid times did.
That's
how they acted, revolved, what is actually true.
That's what, when I was standing there, I was just thinking, I need to step back in time and watch.
Yep.
I need to just observe, like be an invisible man and just
Yep.
see what the hell is going on, because it was so freaking cool. So,
Is there a lot of? I'm assuming it's most of the country forest. Is that
no,
the-
well, actually, El Salvador is the exception in Central America. They're the smallest country in Central America, and they have the highest population density. So almost all of the forest has been chopped down for fields and sugarcane and everything. In fact, the government's trying to combat it because they have almost no forest, and so it's a problem. But the people need their land to but what they don't realize is that there are ways they can grow this stuff in the forest, but they just have to train them and teach them, and they're starting programs like you can get twice as much for your crop if it's grown in the forest than if it's grown in a field, and they'll teach you how to do it for free, and then you can make more money. So they're trying to encourage people to do that. But the rest of Central America is like all forest, because the population density is very low. Like, for example, Costa Rica has like 4 or 5 times the land of El Salvador, but half the population. So it's just like there's nobody around, and so that's why Costa Rica has the most jungle of all down there, and everyone goes on vacation to Costa Rica because
it's
that's
all
why,
secluded.
But we did visit the one jungle that they do have. It's like a preserve. They
Right.
have it.
It's a
all
national
over.
park,
Yeah,
yeah.
national park, and it has like more varieties of trees in that forest
Tiny little thing, probably less space than the county that we live in.
than like the rest of the world. There's like more
Wow.
trees in that kinds of
They
trees
have-
and more kinds of butterflies. And
They have more trees there than we do in all of the United States.
Wow.
That's crazy.
so it was cool, and wildlife, and
They have
we saw
pumas.
armadillos there.
Nice.
Really?
They're really big. Armadillo.
They were bigger than that.
Did you freak out with the butterflies, or you're okay with those?
Butterflies are
No,
fun.
it's only
I mean, they're
moths
close
that
to the
scare 'em.
moth.
As long as they don't fly at your head,
Okay.
it's okay.
Is there comic stores in El Salvador?
No.
No.
No,
How do they get their comics?
They use Westfield, which they're going to change to DCBS because I talked them into it, and they get them shipped to a place in Miami, and then the place in Miami ships them, so they can get anything they want in the United States. They just have to pay 2
Twice,
shipping, but
yeah.
Right.
the place that they order it from, they just pay regular U.S. shipping, and then this other place forwards their stuff to them. But Tigomon wants to open, or no, Britoman wants to open a comic store. That's his goal.
Wow.
You know, he's like some sort of engineer or something, but he wants to open a comic shop. You know, because that's cool.
Time to move.
And Tasha said they use U.S. currency.
Yeah, they use the U.S. dollar.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, just a couple years ago they switched. Well, during their 12-year Civil War, our country gave them a $500 million every year for like 12 years. So, you know, they feel very close to the U.S. and they get a lot of help from the U.S. of import, export, and all that kind of stuff. So they switch because it's a stable currency and it helps, you know, close the gap with their ties with the U.S. And
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I did not know that.
It made travel easy. We didn't have to do any exchange.
Yeah.
You just get more for your money down there. Most things are a little cheaper.
A little bit. But we did have to exchange when we went to Guatemala because they have a different currency there.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, sounds like
yeah, and you can check out pictures. You can check out pictures that we shot with the Geekos on our gallery. I just put them in. In fact, that's the next thing I want to talk about. Oh, Tasha, you have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
Okay, because if you want to stay, you can stay. If you want to go, you can
stay away from the big spiders.
I'll hang around for a little longer.
Okay. But I just changed just this afternoon. After having conversations with Omar and learning some tech tricks and stuff, I changed our gallery around on the website to be a Flickr account because it's easier for me to maintain, and I'll actually put more pictures up more often because it's just simpler for me, and that benefits everyone. So I actually got all the pictures that we shot from Omar, and they're up there now. So if you go to the gallery page, you'll see that. And then somebody, I think it was David in New York, had created a Flickr group for CGS that if you go to a convention, you can upload your pictures there, and everyone can share. So there's that. And then I also created a Flickr group for the Fan Art Challenge. So if you post the stuff on the forum, we want you to keep posting it on the forum because it's cool on the forum. But we would also like if you could post it to the Flickr group for on the group on Flickr, because then everyone can see them and you can actually get an RSS feed of new pictures and stuff. So it might be easier for you to keep track of them and it's just cool. So I posted on the forum a sticky all about the Flickr stuff. It's actually very cool. I used to think it was silly, but now I realize that it's actually awesome and everyone can contribute, and it's just easier to look at and maintain, and you can put little comments about pictures and everything, so it's kind of a community effort thing. So
All right. Want to go to our big topic for the day?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get a hold of Adam Murdo, one of our other geeks, and we're going to go back to our Marvel events and talk about the Infinity Trilogy.
Reread that.
Huh?
I wanted to reread the Infinity Gauntlet, but I was gone. I didn't have time to do it.
I never read that.
I have one issue of that, and it's signed by George Perez on the cover. That's
George who?
Yeah.
George who?
Quarter in the jar.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Somebody in King of Prussia, when I was going to that store, gave it to me. But one day he just handed it to me. He's like, "Here, brought something for you." All right, great.
So we're going to talk about the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, and Infinity Crusade. And while Brian gets...
I thought there was one after that, too. That was kind of like a nothing.
I don't think so. I think that's all.
Infinity.
Hello, Adam.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm going to put you through.
So Brian's getting Adam on the phone. And actually, before we start that... hold on here. Hey, Adam, what's up?
Oh, hey, Peter.
Hey, Bird, how you doing?
Oh, hey, Matt. You guys having a good night?
So far.
Oh, glad to hear it.
So, actually, before we start the Infinity Trilogy, one of our listeners was kind of, because we were almost going to gloss over the Inferno X-Men crossover, they were like, no, don't, you know, they also wanted to hear us talk about it. But I just thought I'd read some of the synopsis of Justice on the Forum actually sent me this. It's just basically a highlight for Inferno. The basis for this crossover was laid down in the 1983 Magic miniseries, which saw little Illyana Rasputin, sister to Colossus, kidnapped by Belasco, ruler of Limbo. She returned to Earth twice her age, having fought for her freedom by gaining control of the Soul Sword. She then joined the New Mutants, and she used her ability to travel to and from Limbo as a way to transport the team between places. However, one transport went wrong, and Magic is forced to deal with the demon Nastir, one of Belasco's servants, to get her team home to Earth. Suddenly, thousands of demons were poured into the New York streets because she created this portal over New York City, and the Empire State Building becomes the focal point of all their evil. New York citizens, they flee all by the rampaging demons, and Nastir employs 10 mutant babies to keep the portal open forever, but he's outfoxed by the exterminators, an even more junior team of mutants than the New Mutants. Let's see. Meanwhile, Madeline Pryor, the wife of Cyclops, makes a deal with Nastir, and let's see. She believes that Scott is dead at this point, so her son Christopher is kidnapped by a bad guy, causing her to go mad, and with a few goblins at her disposal, she calls herself the Goblin Queen and uses her position inside the X-Men team to incite them against X-Factor. Let's see. The X-Men track down the Marauders. Madeline finds Mr. Sinister. The X-Men defeat the Marauders. Colossus leaves the team to find his sister. I'm just going through some basic things here. X-Factor tries to save Nathan, Madeline's baby, from her. She goes crazy. Storm and Jean Grey figure out who the real enemy is, blah, 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 blah. And it's all just a myriad of crazy scenes. So, the Inferno. I didn't want to go through the whole thing. And it is traded, because Matt actually found this trade. And where'd you find this trade?
It's at a comic shop that I found in right by Collinswood, New Jersey. Something was coming out that day. It was a Wednesday, and I just typed in comic. I don't remember what the name of the place was in my GPS, and just happened to stop in. I was like, I know that was something I wanted to read, but...
That good old trusty GPS.
It's fairly new because it's got the whole
the
Marvel
tag slide on.
Yeah.
It's, let's see, copyright... Looks like 2001.
Because I was also able to pick up the Mutant Massacre trade paperback as well.
And it collects X-Men's 239 through 243, New Mutants 71 through 73, and X-Factor 36 through 39. It's a hefty book. It's priced at $24.95. But it looks like there's your story right in there. Imagine that. I'll have to read it. Cool.
Let me see it.
But the one we really want to talk about is the...
I love when they're heavy.
Yeah, that one's heavy. It's heavy because the paper's good paper stock.
Yeah.
So Adam.
Yes, sir.
So which one of these titles did you come into?
That would be the Infinity War.
But then you read the other two, right?
Yeah. Actually, for the War and the Crusade, parts 2 and 3, I actually collected all the crossovers. But the Gauntlet one, the first one, I just got back and got the 6 issues in the main miniseries. But yeah, I've read them all.
Yeah, that's. I think the only reason I jumped onto that was because of George Perez. I mean, you saw that he was doing it, and it was like, oh, of course you got it. You got to get it. Look at these covers. Look at that interior artwork.
Yeah, it's tasty.
So hold on a second. Let me just get my notes. There's sort of a prequel to the trilogy. There's the 2-issue Thanos Quest.
Oh yeah.
And actually, before that, the story started out in Silver Surfer 34 with the resurrection of Thanos.
He said that, and his voice goes down. He goes, "Lord, oh yes,
oh yeah,
I'm touching myself right now."
Continued Silver Surfer 34 through 38, which was a lead into the Thanos Quest, and then they went back into Silver Surfer from 44 to 50. 50 ends with the Surfer crashing through Doctor Strange's window, which is where the Infinity Gauntlet begins. Thank you, Darth Kramer, for that. So, a quick little synopsis of Infinity Gauntlet, Adam.
Well, it's been a little while since I read any of these, but as I recall, Thanos has managed to gather the Infinity Gems. He's begged, borrowed, or stole them all from the various Elders of the Universe in the Thanos Quest 2-issue series you mentioned a minute ago. And as of Infinity Gauntlet, he's got them all. He's put them all on one of his gloves, thereby assembling the titular Infinity Gauntlet. And what these gems do is basically give him power to warp all of reality to his whim. He has control over time and space, and the mind, the body, and just reality in general. There's even a gem specifically called the Reality Gem, so that pretty much covers all the bases. And the first thing he does with this newfound power is kill off, just cause to vanish from existence, 1/2 of all the intelligent beings in the universe, including quite a few superheroes. So, of course, that alerts Earth's superhero population to the fact that something is going wrong.
And all for the love of death, all to impress death.
Oh, yes, of course. The ever cold and distant and unobtainable Mistress Death, who Thanos only seems to be interested in when she is unattainable, and that's most of the time. So, yes, he does all this just to impress a chick. And the superheroes are not particularly happy about this, and they sort of marshal their forces, and Doctor Strange, of course, is instrumental in helping to figure out what's going on, and he and the Silver Surfer sort of lead the charge. And there's a pretty big battle sort of thing that happens, and it all comes down in the end, as I recall, to a little gambit involving Captain America and the Silver Surfer, in which they try to wrest the gauntlet away from Thanos, and Thanos, who seems to be a habitual self-defeater. He just seems to always want himself to fail, just so he has something to do next time, I guess. And they wind up getting the gauntlet away from him, and Adam Warlock takes possession of the Infinity Gems, and that's where it ends. And it sort of goes from there into the Warlock and the Infinity Watch ongoing series after that.
Well, there's that part in the middle of the book. I forget who was challenging him, where they said, you're a big tough man with that gauntlet, but what if you tone back your powers? Was it even Mephisto who did it? And I forget.
It very well could be, because I remember he was kind of hanging around playing the role of Worm Tongue from Lord of the Rings for a while there.
So they tell him, why don't you, go against the heroes only using a fraction of your power. And I remember that scene where Silver Surfer is like way off in the distance, and he flies in at the last moment to grab it, but he actually doesn't get it. I guess Thanos restores his power, and he almost lost it, but it was actually his granddaughter Nebula, I guess, was like walking around as a corpse kind of thing, and she was the one who actually stole it away from him. I think that's how the middle of the book went, because then she got it, and then all the cosmic beings came about, and they were that huge battle.
Right. Yeah, I think what messed me up there was a what if issue. Close to the end of the series, it was what if the Silver Surfer had gotten the Infinity Gauntlet and kept it.
Oh, right. I saw that in my notes, actually, yeah. And I thought for my purposes, the first couple issues were just so awesome with that artwork. And even when Ron Lim took over, it still kind of had the same kind of magic. And
oh, yes.
But the big battle with against the Celestial and Love and Hate and Master Order and Chaos and all the big cosmic beings. It was interesting. It was interesting to see all of Marvel's cosmic beings together in one place.
I always enjoy seeing that.
Did that cross over into any of the other mainstream titles?
There were some. Yeah, actually, I found one of the Silver Surfer Infinity Gauntlet crossovers somewhere. I think there was actually a Cloak and Dagger issue that tied into that.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, I picked up the Silver Surfer one in a bookstore for like $0.25. I only got it because it had Silver Surfer fighting the Rhino for some reason. Yeah, as I recall, it didn't have much to do with the Infinity Gauntlet itself, but it had the little, triangular Infinity Gauntlet crossover tag on it, so I went for it.
It was neat to see the heroes go up against Thanos. I mean, you kind of knew that they weren't going to stay dead, but it still was neat to see him dispose of. You almost were rooting for him throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Mephisto, of course, had a great part, like you said, in the story, and there was just something about it that it worked on an event level, sort of like Secret Wars, where you kind of knew things would restore back to the way they were by the end of it, but it still was an enjoyable story.
It's all about the spectacle.
Exactly. I have something here from the Modern Masters Volume 2, George Perez, from Tomorrow's Publishing, where they talk about why did he stop drawing in Infinity Gauntlet. And he says, I was having a hard time keeping my enthusiasm up. I was becoming overly critical of the books I was working on. With Infinity Gauntlet, I felt that the story did not warrant 6 double-sized books. I'd gone into it with a certain idea. Jim Starlin had his own ideas, and of course Jim had been doing Thanos for years, and it was his character. So I know the problem wasn't with him, it was with me. I just started losing interest, and as a result, I was slowing down. Part of it was that it was being done concurrently with War of the Gods over at DC.
Oh, yeah.
Which was highly stressful. So Tom DeFalco did what was absolutely his right and duty to do as editor and called Ron Lim in to fill in on the last half of issue 4. He told me at a convention, and I said, I think you should have Ron finish the whole series. I knew that with the way I was feeling, I'd just go back and cause the same problem all over again. I always felt that Ron Lim should have been the one to draw Infinity Gauntlet anyway, because he drew all the Silver Surfer issues that led up to it. But to show that I respected Tom DeFalco's decision and had no animosity towards Tom or Marvel, I offered to ink the covers over Ron. I didn't think it was right for me to insist on still penciling the covers. Also, by inking Ron's covers, it showed the readers that I was cooperating and showing my support after leaving the book. If I had penciled the covers, they might have assumed they'd been done ahead of time. So it was not actually what I always thought and what most people thought because of Perez's illness at that time, or the breakdown that he eventually had. It was actually because of certain problems he was having with Jim Starlin, which is kind of interesting.
Yes.
So I wanted to pull that out. And again, that's from one of the interviews in Modern Mastering Volume 2, George Perez, by Two Morrows Publishing, edited by Eric Nolan Wethington. Because that kind of was weird, there was no real major internet outlet back then. You didn't know what was going on, and all of a sudden Perez left, and it's like, what?
I think at that time, was Wizard even functioning at that point?
I don't think so. That wasn't until
that was not yet.
93, 94?
Yeah.
Oh, no, the Gauntlet was 90.
Yeah, that was before Wizard.
Yeah, I have here July-December 1991 cover date for Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, and then that's the What If number 49. What if the Silver Surfer had the Infinity Gauntlet? There's also What If 104, Volume 2. What if the Impossible Man gained the Infinity Gauntlet?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have both of those, actually.
Yikes. So, it is traded. In fact, I think there's even a new trade coming out of this, I think I saw, or something like that. I'm not quite sure.
I was going to say yes, but I'm not sure now myself.
Yeah, I can't remember. But it's of the three, this is the one if you're going to read.
Yeah.
It's the only one I read.
Yeah. It's the only one I read.
Yeah. I'm sticking to my guns on this one. Yes. I'm finding out that the Infinity Trilogy is kind of like the Star Wars trilogy for me. The one that everybody says is the best is the one that I get exposed to last, and it just doesn't make the impression on me that it should. I actually saw Empire Strikes Back last of the three, and I read Gauntlet the last of the three, so I still got to stick with Infinity War as my favorite.
Empire's the best.
Yeah, there's no question there.
Oh, yes, there is.
Oh. So before we go on a tangent...
I didn't say it was a legitimate question, just said there was a question.
So the next one was Infinity War. And again, 6 issues, 1992, same creative team. A whole slew of crossovers into other books. And want to talk about that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, talking of crossovers, this maybe one of the reasons why I think so fondly about Infinity War is because this is the series that got me into comic collecting. Well, that and some not-so-subtle encouragement from our friend Matt was kind of pushing me to start collecting, and this was my opportunity.
Read comics or I'll beat you up.
Yeah, and then I created a monster.
My personal Dr. Frankenstein. Yeah, so...
Yeah,
I went into Pagoda Comics. You guys remember that place?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know you do, Matt.
Yep.
But yeah, I went in and, naive little 12-year-old that I was, I asked the lady who worked there, is this Infinity War going to be worth anything? And she looked at me and with a straight face, she said, only if you buy all the crossovers.
Oh.
Snap. So I am now the proud owner of every Infinity War crossover ever published. So yeah, anyway, the story itself... it's not even quite as complex as the Infinity Gauntlet was. Basically, Adam Warlock's evil self, who was introduced by Jim Starlin back in the 70s, the Magus, his name was. He basically looked like Adam Warlock, except he's purple and he has a little ponytail thing on the back of his head. He manages to get hold of the Infinity Gems and starts wreaking havoc. And to distract the heroes of Earth, he generates these really awesome dark doppelgangers of all of them. Basically, they They look just like the heroes, except they have like spikes and sharp teeth and like snake eyes. And the Spider doppelganger, who was probably the most famous of this batch, had 8 arms, and the Daredevil doppelganger didn't have any eyes, and they were just really visually neat. That's probably the thing I remember most fondly about the series. And he sends these doppelgangers against the heroes, and if the Dark Doppelgangers defeat their heroic double, they can possess the hero by turning themselves into a mass of tentacles and wrapping around the hero in like a cocoon of evil, and therefore that hero becomes a double agent of the Magus to subvert their allies. And so that's going on Earth, and meanwhile Magus is working at getting together the Infinity Gems and completing his Infinity Gauntlet. And eventually he succeeds in doing this, and the heroes and Thanos, their tentative ally, have to go in and stop them. I seem to recall at some point the Silver Surfer was pumped up with a ridiculous amount of cosmic energy and turned into a living weapon, although I could be mistaking that could be Infinity Crusade I'm thinking of, I'm not sure. But anyway, Magus is defeated in the end. Adam Warlock absorbs him into the Soul Gem, where he's imprisoned forever, and things more or less get back to normal.
Normal being, 25 issues of the crossover, if not more than that.
But that's also where you had the 4th Freedom Plaza explosion.
Oh, yeah, is that when that happened?
And wasn't it also when, I can't remember who, Quasar kind of went into a different reality after trying to use the Ultimate Nullifier? Or was that in the Infinity Crusade?
That was the war, to mention it. Actually, in the process of trying to get back, I think he actually stumbled into the new universe for a while.
Oh, was that when that was going on? Okay.
Well, and that's also where he ran into Barry Allen, if I remember correctly.
No, it's a little before that.
That I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, the fast forward, or the buried alien.
The crossovers include 3 issues of Alpha Flight, a Captain America, a Daredevil, a Deathlock, 6 issues of Doctor Strange, 5 of Fantastic Four, 3 of the Guardians of the Galaxy, 4 of the Marvel's Comics Presents, 4 Moon Knights, a New Warriors, a Nomad, 3 Quasars, 2 Silver Surfers, 2 Silver Sables, because that's important, 3 Silver Surfers, 1 Sleepwalker, 1 Spider-Man, Warlock and the Infinity Watch, 4 issues of that, 3 issues of Wonder Man, and called the Infinity Wart parody.
I'm surprised Moon Knight had so many parts.
4 of them. Yeah.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
I remember the New Warrior was one particularly because it had Dark Speedball.
Oh.
You have that one, Brian?
Oh.
No, I don't.
Oh, now it is the...
That's his new gem.
Yeah. Dark Speedball. Yowza. I guess this is, it's funny, like, Jim Starlin's the cosmic guy, and Infinity Gauntlet did sell. It sold well, and it was enjoyable, and people dug it, so they said, let's do it again, and let's do it again, because then we got Infinity Crusade from 1993.
Yeah, I'm not going to stick up for this one.
You're not putting your reputation on the line for this one?
It just kind of came off as watered down and weak to me. I don't know, maybe it's just because the big bad was such a hippie peacenik.
A woman?
Well, no, it's not.
No, I know. I'm just kidding.
A woman. It's the fact that she was just all peace, love, and zen and all that. It just didn't make as good as an antagonist as the Magus did, because he was pure evil.
Right. They said the premise of this was basically the same as Infinity War. It just wasn't anywhere near as I guess there was really no reason just to get another trilogy out of it, or just to get a trilogy out of it.
Yeah, because 3 is a nice round number.
Yeah, makes sense.
Things happen in 3s.
And this one had just as many crossovers in pretty much the same titles, except there's a Cage and Avengers West Coast and Darkhawk. Terror Inc. I never even heard of that. Now I'm going to get thousands of Terror Inc.
That's right.
Something serious questions.
Somebody's going to send you the complete collection.
Oh, thanks. And it again had Thanos in it, and like you said, the Goddess was the big, quote unquote, big baddie. They're just, after Infinity Gauntlet, I don't know. Do you really need to read them all? I guess if you want to just get them all for...
If you're a completist.
Yeah.
I thought there was something after the Infinity Crusade, though.
There was. The Infinity Abyss.
What?
Yeah, that just came out like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not really a part of the trilogy. It's just sort of like an echo effect from like 10 years after.
Okay. What's this?
Does it still have the same kind of characters? The
Yeah,
warlock.
it's cosmic stuff.
Yeah.
It's Jim Starlin.
What's this whole cosmic egg thing?
Cosmic egg.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of makes me think of JLA Avengers.
Well, it says here the goddess presents the cosmic egg to her followers. The 30 cosmic containment units have been forged into a single force that's become more than the sum of their parts. Using the willpower of billions of believers, it's capable of altering the universe, guided by the goddess. While she sits within the egg and reaches out to the Holy Spirit and every enlightened being, she charges her heroes with the task of guarding her physical form while her spirit wanders. Whew.
Where'd you read that from?
It's a synopsis. Synopsis of the issue. Of the series, actually.
Gotta beware of those cosmic eggs.
I tell you what. But you're right. Yeah, there is a cosmic egg in JLA Avengers, too. So that's our little look back. What has stuck with you? I mean, has some of this stuff stayed in continuity for Marvel over the years?
Well, it doesn't get referenced very much. Matter of fact, the Infinity Gems are kind of MIA as far as I know. I mean, they might have played a part in the Infinity Abyss, but I haven't read that, so I don't know for sure. And for a while there, they were in the Ultraverse. We know what a clusterfuck that wound up being.
That's
so
right.
Be lucky if we ever see him again.
Yeah,
So,
and
I don't
it's
think
the
there's been
root
too
of
many
Civil
long-term
War.
repercussions for this, but they are kind of grand scale operatic, cosmic space opera stuff.
Yeah, and they were, it's funny because like in the 70s, you had the big battle with Thanos, and then you had the death of Captain Marvel, and then you have Infinity Gauntlet, which is still really good. And it is kind of interesting to see Thanos come back, and I assume play a part in the current Annihilation.
Well, I remember the Spider-Man doppelganger was around for a while because he was actually in the Maximum Carnage storyline.
Really?
So, and I think the Daredevil one was around for a while as well. So even though it was over, they still, I think, kept a couple of them around.
Yeah, there were those two. I think actually D-Man's evil double showed up several months after the Infinity War was over.
The loser that he is, he's late for the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, of course, there's the 12-issue Thanos series that was out a couple years back that, which brought back Jim Starlin to the whole Thanos continuity history, whatever you want to say, and for
the
6
first
issues.
6 issues or so, anyway.
Did you?
And then Keith Giffen took over, and at that point, the Thanos series turned into a direct lead-in to the Annihilation thing. So.
Pretty much. I mean, even though it was years earlier, it's pretty much they're basically just going right on the coattails of that.
A lot of the same characters and concepts.
Have you ever read Marvel Universe: The End, the one that had Thanos as a?
I have it, but haven't gotten around to it.
That's 6 years yet.
Yeah, it's 6, 5, something like that.
You need to catch up.
Yeah, well,
How's that thesis paper coming along? You finished that yet?
slow and painful, thank you for asking.
Every time I talk to Mert, I feel so much better that I only have 2 long boxes behind.
Yeah,
He's building a house out of unread comics.
Yeah, it's pretty close to that. I think I have exactly 3,333 comic books backlogged.
Jeez.
My God.
Those are the ones I haven't read yet.
Plus the comics that you bought at New York Comic Con.
Oh, no, that's including those.
Oh, that's including? Okay. And that was your first convention, right?
It sure was.
I can't believe
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
That was his first convention?
Did you decide if you're coming to San Diego or not yet?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to.
Well, you love to, but that's not an
Right,
answer.
that's not what I asked you.
Okay, so yes, I'll come along.
Okay. Good.
He's even going to show
I
up for.
cleared it with my folks, who are also my bosses. They say they can do without me for a week.
You'll be taking my place.
And he
Shane?
said,
Yep, that's Shane.
No, that's true because you don't like to fly.
Right.
Well, it's a lot to do with money and kids this year. The flying, I'm getting ready to drug myself up to do stuff like that, but but money and kids, that's the bigger problem.
plus Mert said he'd be there a couple hours for Saturday at the Pittsburgh Con, too.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to get there by noon?
Is that when the panel's going to be?
Yeah.
Oh, then I will get there by noon.
You can't miss our trivia panel.
I will not.
We might have a special Peter and Peter Merd showdown or something, you know?
I was going to say you could put Adam in as the running. He'd wipe out the whole...
That's right.
Yeah,
We'll give him a disguise.
Give him another name, fake name, and just have him
he'd
in
be the
as
ringer.
Yep.
Yeah.
He'll come in a mask, like one of those Mexican wrestling masks, and we won't know
Lucha
who he is.
Lucha Merd.
That's right.
The unknown trivia master.
Just put a bag over my head, right?
No, that's reserved for other activities.
I guess since we're talking about it, we should, anyone who's listening who doesn't know, at the Pittsburgh Comic-Con, which is April 21st, 22nd, 23rd, right?
Yeah.
On Saturday at noon, we are hosting the comic trivia panel. And if you want to participate, you actually have to sign up at our booth before then. And it's like first come, first serve. It can be 16 people can sign up. And of course, everyone can come to watch it, and you win lots of prizes if you're the champion. So, come on down.
I'm really looking forward to this show.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So that was our Infinity Trilogy wrap up. Not a lot to say about it other than
Gauntlet.
I would say if don't pay for more than $1 for these issues. Because
you could probably find them for that little too.
Yeah, you should be able to find them in the 50-cent bin, if not $1 bin. I saw them priced the other day at like $3 something. I was like, no way, I am not paying a quarter more than cover price for these books.
Well, if you want to read them, Peter, you can borrow mine.
Well, I read Infinity Gauntlet.
That's the only one I haven't read yet. I got to get the trade for that.
I don't know if I'd rush out to read the other two. Maybe I will. Maybe just to be the completist, like Brian said.
I have no desire to
resist
read
it.
them at all.
You never read Gauntlet?
Nope.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, I'd read Gauntlet.
That's definitely worth reading.
Just haven't gotten around.
Yeah.
Never
There's
bought
not
it.
a whole lot of depth to them, but that's part of the fun, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought about the first one. It was interesting, the whole wiping out half the universe and seeing the heroes team up in reaction to it all. But it's fun. It's just a fun, big slam bang, cosmic kind of story.
Well, I know we always, we talk about Secret War for Marvel, about how basically when that came out, the big crossover event type of thing, an event wasn't really, they really didn't know how to approach it.
Right.
By this point, do you think they start to get a handle on it? Because this was...
I think, like, as Adam pointed out with his story about the Pagoda Comics owner, this was when all the companies were like in a glut. They put out an event every 2 months, and there were so many crossovers, and they almost knew how to do them too well because they knew that everybody was going to get them. Everybody was going to get all the crossovers. Same thing with DC with the War of the Gods at that time. That Infinity Gauntlet came out, and there was all these different chapters. They labeled them as chapters, so it even made you more. You even wanted to get them more because they
it's all
like
sequential.
Yeah. So, God, they were going crossover crazy.
Was that at the time where they put the triangle banner on the Superman titles as well? Order?
Shortly after that, or during that time, yeah. So the next ones on our list, we're going to skip over the Operation Galactic Storm because Brian hasn't read. He's only read the first half of that. But we're going to go to X-Men. We're going to go back to the X-Men universe for Executioner Song, that 20-issue whatever mess with Strife. The next four, I don't know if we'll get them all into one episode, but the next four are Executioner Song, Fatal Attractions, which was basically just like 5 or 6 things. That was when...
With Magneto and...
Yeah, Magneto and...
Asteroid M.
Was that in the annuals?
No,
that
was
the
in the
special
issues.
hologram cover issues
Yep.
of the different titles.
Oh, okay.
There's Blood Ties, the Avengers X-Men crossover, and Phalanx Covenant, the prequel to... or the prologue to the Generation Next
Did
series.
you say Blood Ties?
Yeah, Generation X miniseries. Excuse me.
I better read that. That's on my eBay pile.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only like 5 or 6 issues.
Yeah.
But we can probably knock those out in 2 episodes, so. Because then after that is the big Age of Apocalypse, and that one I think
was good.
Yeah, we can probably spend a good chunk of an episode on that one.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the closest they've ever come to when they did Brian's thing of stopping the books all at one time and then having their own universe for a while and then coming back to regular books with no other universe.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bold move.
Yeah.
Adam, stick around for a second
You bet.
because it's that time. So if Peter doesn't know the answers, you can show him up. Steal his thunder.
I got you back there, Peter.
All right. This Stump the Rios. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna pick a different one here.
Dope.
I want to get one that's like really good. That
Some Terra Inc. questions.
I don't have time for that one.
Before Peter reads it, make sure you get in your Infinity War and Infinity Crusade questions, too.
All right, this one is from XYZZY on the forum. Question number 1, DC. Rot Lop Fan was a member of the Green Lantern Corps who belonged to a race with no concept of light. As a result, the idea of a lantern was foreign to him. What did he call himself?
The F-sharp bell.
That is correct.
We had a question like this way, way back in one of the early episodes.
Really?
Yeah.
And Peter studies those.
Marvel question. Before Jessica Jones, from Alias the Pulse, gave up superhero work, she had 2 different superhero aliases. Name them.
Jewel and Nitrous, which is
That's correct. I didn't think you'd
You
get
didn't
that
even
one.
read them yet.
no, that's the one because Young Avengers and the girl in that is using Nitrous. But no, Jewel I've seen like in flipping through like the Pulse or they might have mentioned it. It's like that I've seen or like a handbook or somewhere.
I think it was mentioned in previews at one point.
Yeah.
All right, independent question. This question concerns Kurt Busiek's Astro City. Name 5 members of the organization known as the Honor Guard.
Oh. That's a good
He's got
question.
a whole bunch of them here,
Yeah.
but you can...
Samaritan, Beauty, Black Rapier.
Yep.
What's that? The energy one. He's like, I think it might be like NRG1 or ERG1 or something.
Now you're thinking of Wildfire from the Legion of Super.
Oh, am I?
There.
Okay. Hold on. What the heck is the crap? Is one of them? Oh, there's the she's Aztec or Mayan or something like that. And I can't remember her name. Damn it. Hold on. All right.
You got 3. There's like 10.
Yeah,
There's like 12
I know.
more here. You know?
The Honor Guard. Beauty is the Quarrel.
That's correct.
Okay.
Need one more.
4.
Damn. Have you read this, Adam?
Sure.
Thanks.
Astro City's good stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff.
You probably know all of them. You can probably name all of them, can't you?
I don't know about all of them. But
there's I'm trying to there's also that Wonder Woman type one, but I don't know if she actually was in it. I think she's like Winged Victory or something like that.
that's the one, but I'm not sure she is either.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she's actually in the group. And I know Jack in the Box isn't. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm just one away. This is going to drive me nuts. One away from a perfect. There is an energy one, but what the hell is his name?
ACDC.
Fire! I can even picture him. He's got like his body's like composed of energy, I think, except for these plates that are on him. I think. Ugh.
I couldn't help you. I have a couple of the trades, but I haven't read them yet.
Yeah, I can't. This sucks. I'm one away from a total sweep.
1/5 away.
1/5 away.
You like candy bars?
Do I like candy bars?
Or the alphabet?
That's no help. What the hell's that energy guy's name? Damn it.
I like how there's like a
Do you know
dozen.
who I'm talking about?
And where was I just at?
El Salvador.
Yeah, and what language do they speak?
El Salvadorian.
Spanish. Central American. What?
Yeah. What's the first part of the country that I was visiting?
El Capitan.
Adam, you know where I'm going with that one?
I might.
Go ahead, say. Go ahead, Dan.
El Hombre?
That's right.
El Hombre. No, I don't know that one. Go ahead, I can't get
And then,
the last
okay, we got Maximilians.
Mm-hmm. Leopard Man and Kit Kat.
What was that?
Leopard Man and Kit Kat.
Yeah, Kit Kat was where I was going with the candy bar.
Okay.
What else can you name, Adam?
How about the Enforcer? Is that the
That's right.
the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I can picture him too. Who else we got? Cleopatra.
Yep.
That's
the other one.
Aztec or Mayan one that you were having trouble with there.
Egyptian. Yeah.
Is the gentleman a member of the group?
He's not listed here.
How about the Bouncing Beatnik?
No, that's
and not Winged Victory. She's not.
No.
No.
Star Woman.
Yes.
Star Fighter.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm about tapped out.
We got, what didn't you name yet? Hummingbird, Mirage, Living Nightmare, Starfighter. You said Black Rapier, right?
Yeah.
And Beauty. And MPH.
Oh, right. Miles Phillip Harris, the speedster guy.
Yeah, and then that's the rest you named.
That's great. That's pretty.
Yeah.
That was a good question.
Yeah.
So you were one away. You were
one little fraction away from being perfect.
Of one question. Yeah.
So that's a penny, I hope.
Yeah, something like that.
Cool.
This is a good question.
Do you want to hang around a little bit, Adam?
Can hang around as long as you want me to.
All right.
You know I got nothing better to do.
Except for reading some of those 3,000 issues that you're behind
He
on.
still has to get that master's paper done.
Yeah. Technically, it's supposed to be done tomorrow, but I've got an out.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting my diploma a couple of months late. I can wait till May 15th.
How many pages are you in?
I've got 50 pages done.
Holy Christ.
How many do you need?
Maybe 70, but it's going to be more like 100.
Jeez.
All in Crisis, correct?
Uh-huh.
Can we put that PDF on our website after you're done with it?
Can we get that published?
I think it'll break the internet if we try that.
While we were talking about conventions, the Emerald Comic-Con April 1st and 2nd in Seattle, Washington. A bunch of our listeners are planning a meetup. Kevin and Roy sent me some information to give out to our listeners who maybe don't go onto the forum. Saturday, April 1st at noon, they're going to meet up at the main entrance. They're going to have lunch at the Pyramid Ale House and Brewery across from Safeco Field. So that's Saturday, April 1st at noon. Big CGS lunch gathering. I think there's about 6, 7, 8 members so far on the forum. So if you're out there and you're planning on going to the Emerald Comic-Con, you can find out information www.emeraldcomiccon.com. You can find out information about the meetup on our forum with the thread Emerald Comic-Con. You can just do a search on that. And there's going to be some people that we've talked to are going to be at the convention. Top Shelf is going to be there. Sal from Mercury Comics, who does Atomica, he's going to be there. Eric Larson is there. Open Book Press. Super Rio Graphics. There's going to be some pretty cool artists there, like Tony Moore is going to be there. Ed Brubaker, Colleen Coover. Rob Liefeld's going to be there. Raven Gregory of The Gift will be there. Super Rio Graphics. Excuse me. So check it out. Meet up for the listeners. They're going to get a picture, I think, and then they're going to go out and get some lunch.
Cool.
So it's kind of cool.
Post those pictures on our Flickr account.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wonder if the guys from Buzzboy are going to be there. They seem to hit a lot of comics. Yeah,
cool.
I'll have to check.
Right.
I got a voicemail.
Okay.
Let me see. Oh, wait. Oh, we already did that voicemail. Hang on. I got to get another voicemail. Keep talking.
Woohoo!
I'll give a quick shout-out. One of our listeners has started his own podcast, Sean Whalen, Dr. Norge on the forum.
It was very good. I listened to it.
RagingBullets.libsyn.com. It's a DC Comics fan podcast with his partner in the first episode, Jim Segulan. Segulin. And Raging Bullets is a takeoff of the whole the DC Bullet, the logo that was called the DC Bullet, so he's called it Raging Bullets.
Want to give a shout out to Vince and Chris and Tim, and I'm blanking out on the fifth person that was with us. We were Skyping on Friday night for a few hours.
Tom or Tim? Tom Caters?
Tom Caters, yeah. He was, that was a lot of fun. Kept me out to the wee hours of the morning. But we had a good time.
And also, you can check out, if you want to see video of the New York Comic Con. We have yet to put on our own video interviews up, but www.catchdacraze.com, and that's catchdacraze.com. They're part of the Crazy Comics group. They started up their own videocast podcast. They have images from the Comic-Con. They also have video from the Indie After Party that most of us attended.
Oh, nice.
And they have I think it's about 15 minutes in and a couple seconds. I do a little promo for them. They got like everybody to do a promo for them all night, and I do mine. And I have 2 takes because the first one I just boogered, and the second one I nail it. So, and that was pre-drinks, so it wasn't even like I was sloshed.
Wasn't even alcoholic.
Yeah.
Did they put their pictures up? They were taking pictures that
Yes, they
night.
did. There is a group shot that I'll have to put on the Flickr page soon.
Yeah. Okay,
Cool.
here's some voicemail.
Hey guys, Andrew from Bakersfield. Just a quick non-comics related note. I noticed you did a call me on episode 103 where you said it went straight to music. Some people with their cell phones have a feature called ringback tone, and what that does is instead of getting the regular ringtone, you get a song playing back. And I know this because my phone does that. So something to keep in mind. It may actually be ringing, but going, with a ringback tone or something. So anyways, I'm just being selfish because that's what mine does, and I don't want to miss it. All right, give it up. Bye.
I got to tell you, I don't think I'm a big fan of that because I like to hear that ringing to know that my call is going through. I understand the concept, but it's very disconcerting, and maybe that's
it's
a proof
confusing,
that I'm
right?
getting
Like,
older, or I don't know what. But I think a phone should ring when it's ringing.
What happened? The person that's receiving the call, it doesn't ring?
No.
It does ring on their end.
You hear music instead of hearing ring, ring, ring,
Yeah.
hello. You hear some song that they pick as an MP3.
Almost
file.
like you're on hold type of thing?
Yeah.
But it never says,
It's
"Hey,
ringing.
you're on hold. Your phone is ringing. Listen to this music." It's just
Music.
you start hearing music.
It just starts music, and you kind of get jumbled and hang up and go, "What did I do?"
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Dylan Northrop from Atlanta, Georgia. I was just listening to your Infinite Crisis number 4 episode, and one of the things that Brian brought up was the whole issue of people who are new to the DC universe reading Infinite Crisis and being lost in some of the things that happen. And I'm in that same position. When the big green glob of goo jumped out of some plane or helicopter or whatever into Bloodhaven, I don't care. I don't know, and there's no context within the story to tell me how that fits in to the overall event. Now, I believe it was Peter who mentioned that this is an event, and they don't want, perhaps from a marketing reason, to say, oh, in order to understand the story, you also have to buy this issue and that issue, and you got to buy these 15 other things to understand the story. Well, if you have to buy 15 other things to understand the story, tell me at least what they are. And if you don't want me to have to buy those 15 other things to understand the story, then write a better story. Make it 12 issues. Don't make it 6 or 8 or however many it's supposed to be. I want to know what the story is as a whole. And if you give me 2 panels of something that doesn't make sense within the context of the entire issue, then I think that you failed as a creator. I think that whoever is the person putting it together has not done a good job of getting the story to the point where all of the readers can understand it. Now, I don't want it baby-fed to me, and I don't want it written down to me, but I do want a little assistance so that if I want to go out and find out who the heck this Jim Corrigan guy is and why it's so important that he's the Spectre, then at least let me know where I can do that, or whoever that green glob of goo guy was. It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, thanks a lot for the show, guys. You guys do a great job, and I really appreciate you dissecting the Infinite Crisis series, and I look forward to the next several issues.
You know, I appreciate his statement, but I don't understand why nobody can just look on the internet and punch in a name.
Now, you know, I'm not even going to go that far. It's a comic book, right? And I know that scene he's talking about where they drop.
Yep.
Okay.
Chemo.
What if it was just a bomb?
Yeah, you wouldn't.
You would, you know, if it was just a bomb, you would know that villains have an intention to blow up a city. So it's not a bomb. It's to him, it's a big green glob of goo. Great. So, okay, wouldn't you just go, okay, this guy must be around in the DC universe. Oh, I wonder who it is, you know. Like back when the original Crisis was, you had that whole Who's Who that came out at the same time. It actually came out earlier. But even if you don't have the internet, you know, ask somebody.
I think
it's taking it too far.
I'm on board with him, though, in that from a marketing standpoint, it doesn't make any sense to me that they wouldn't, on the inside front cover of every issue of Infinite Crisis, say, to understand more about the events in this issue, read this Batman number, whatever.
That to me is spoon feeding. To me is
it's not spoon feeding. It's saying if you want to know more, you can get it here. But he's saying there's obviously more, but I don't even know where I'm supposed to go. What freaking comic am I supposed to buy that has with the chemo stuff in it?
Yeah, but if you did that with every single story of every single crossover, I mean, you get bogged down.
It's too much.
It's a little checklist.
Yeah.
It's half a page of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or they should put the little asterisk that says, to find out what happened, you know, read like they used to do. That's what I want.
See that, but that's why you got to read your previews.
Damn it!
Yeah,
but you can't read previews without spoiling it.
But you would know because it would say Infinite Crisis talk.
Yeah,
crossover.
but you don't know what. What I'm saying is, there are 8 crossovers. That's exactly what I'm not going to do.
Right, but that's what they want you to do. I mean, it's all subliminal. It's all subliminal kind of marketing.
I think it works if they told me there were a couple that I would have bought, but because they don't tell me, I didn't buy any of them, so they lose money.
See,
screw you.
Yeah, but I think we're spoiled. See, this is my problem with having.
That's what I think.
Too many spoilers online and message boards and too many interviews and things like that. We can no longer accept a comic at face value anymore because we have to know. No, wait a minute. Because all of a sudden now it's like. We have too many informed opinions because we have so much access to creators and so much access to information that all of a sudden you want more information or you expect more information, or when an issue comes out, you don't know, you're annoyed by it because you already know stuff that's going to happen in the next 2 issues that haven't even come out yet. So it's like that little thing to me is like that's such a little.
No,
it's such a little event. I mean, I'm only picking on that because that's what he mentioned. It's a bomb. Some villains went and they bombed Bloodhaven. Even if you don't know what it is, you still know that the concept of this big green thing
blowing up Bloodhaven,
falling and blowing up, which is visually in the story. If you can't follow that something fell out of the fucking sky and dropped on a city, that you shouldn't be reading Infinite Crisis. Sorry.
Well, I have to say, I was able to go back and get that Robin issue that tied in with Part 5. Where you have Superboy in the Bantha tank, whatever the tank that he's coming back in. But I was able to pick up the Titans one with the Nightwing and the Superboy, and that leads you into Part 6. So this will be the first time that I have one of those crossovers before the actual issue. So I want to see how much of a difference that makes, because I also was able to get that 3-part of Superman, This Was Your Life. And really, if you didn't read that really didn't affect that battle in issue 5 between Superman, Vertu, and
I feel the same way about that chemo dropping. If you don't know who that is, just know that it's a bomb. That's it. That's all.
I don't understand.
So the chemo thing is a bad idea, a bad example. But what I'm saying is, you said, now we're spoiled with the internet and all this stuff. I'm thinking, go back to the 80s and the early 90s, before there was the internet, before they had all these magazines and information and everything. So how did they let you know what to read? They put a little asterisk and said, for more information, see Thor number 487.
But that was
then you went and you bought Thor number 487.
But that was only directly related to the story, not the characters that just show up.
No. But that's what I'm talking about. There are so many instances where to find out exactly what happened, because Infinite Crisis is, there's 2 pages on this, 1 page on this, 3 pages on this, 1 page on this, 2. Okay, so but there's more information about all those little stories, and those are found somewhere in some of these crossover issues. They don't put what you're supposed to read to find out, and that's what I'm saying. Like in the 80s, they did that. Now they don't. So how the hell am I supposed to know?
But they didn't do it a lot. Like in the original Crisis, it wasn't until the later issues that they did it. But I can't even say that they did it for every little. Yeah, every like what I see what Shane is saying. It's one thing to.
It's one thing to say that if you're going through those 2 or 3 page spots and you need something to go between the first part and the second part, and it's in that Teen Titans, that I can see. But when you're talking about, I don't know who Chemo is, I don't know who this is, they didn't do that. They did not put down every single character.
I'm not saying that they should do that. I'm saying that for the part that there are crossovers, that you're reading this page going, okay, I read issue 4, then I read issue 5. I don't understand how this guy got to here. Okay, I guess I won't know because I don't know what issue I'm supposed to read.
And I think that's where DC's just making a conscious decision to assume everyone's buying everything.
And it's not only with the event. I mean, this has been a thing that they've taken out of comics for years now. I mean,
I know, and I disagree with the industry in general. I think that's a bad idea. I think it encourages people to buy extra stuff, and at least
it doesn't tell them what the extra stuff they need to buy is, though.
I forgot that Adam was on the phone.
Well, Peter.
Well, to kind of go back with what we were talking about earlier with the Infinity War. Mert, in Infinity War, isn't there one part where Pip, or whatever that little troll thing is in Infinity Watch, gets the gauntlet? And
yeah, I think that was in the Crusade, I think.
In the Crusade? Well, I know there was one part where he got it, and then there was supposed to be a crossover where you find out how they get it back from him, and it leads you into the next issue. And I never bought that, and I remember Merd refused to tell me because I wouldn't buy the issue.
Yeah, I was kind of taunting him.
But even that, they told you in there where to go so that you could see how they got the gauntlet. So, at least there's something that if I was curious enough to, well, I was kind of, but not just, it didn't drive me enough to buy the issue. But they told me where I could go to further that storyline of how they got the gauntlet back from him.
And I can appreciate those little asterisks. At times, I think they are needed, and they don't do them, and that's just, like Brian said, an industry-wide thing. But what that voicemail said about not knowing who Chemo was, I just don't ever remember doing that with specific
because I at one point I said the same thing, but I said, for that, you don't put an asterisk. For that, for something as big as Infinite Crisis, if you really want to help it to sell the DC Universe as a whole, they could have put a couple pages in the back of each issue that had little, encyclopedia-style descriptions of stuff. And I thought that would have been the solution. But if they don't want to do that, I think it's a bad move, but that's their decision. But I think those asterisks, you got to put them in.
That's where I think they should have had a new Who's Who when this was coming out. Would have been a better idea than putting something like that in. Because I miss the Who's Who that was out back when Crisis came out. The original Crisis, there was Who's Who. Now there's not. And I think that they should have done if they're going to have all these different characters. That would have
definitely worked. But I also think there's still the factor that when I was a kid reading all these books and Crisis on Infinite Earths came out in 1985. I was 14, something like that. The wow factor and the curiosity factor was stronger as a kid. So it wasn't about, oh, I'm mad at you guys for doing this because I don't know who you are. It was, oh, who is that? I didn't know that. I wonder where I can go. I went out and looked for myself.
Yeah,
next Wednesday when I went to the store, you
ask around.
Yeah, or, if you have back issues, if I saw somebody on Earth 2 and then I'll go into my All-Star Squadrons and then go, oh, look, I wonder if and then you go, you know what I mean? Like, so, and in this day and age, like you said, you have the internet now. So there
should be no reason.
There are other ways to do it. Now, and the whole thing with the asterisk thing, if you did have all of them, I wonder how many people would then say, oh, well, God, I got to read this, and now I got to read this.
Well,
and you know what? A lot of those crossovers, I don't think you need to read. I don't think you need to read a lot of those crossovers at all. Like, I've read them, and I went, you know what? You don't need to read this. No. You don't even need to. Even the Teen Titans Annual and the Teen Titans issue with Nightwing and Superboy. It's A to B. It tells you how they get to A to B, but it doesn't. You don't need to. So I don't think it's a fault of the writer. I think it's the fault of where we are and what
we expect.
And what we expect, and the community of the internet versus the reader, and I think it has more to do with that and less to do with the fault of the actual comic.
Well,
I really do.
I remember in what was it JLA 1 million or the DC 1 million? At the end of each part of the 4 or 5 parts that
They
it was
did have
for them,
the
they had the other things so that you could, if you wanted to read those, you know where to go, which was kind of obvious anyways because they all had the 1 million tag. But
Yeah.
still, it gave you an idea, and that's why I thought, either go Brian's path of before you read this, you might want to consider this, this, and this, or at the end of each issue, going to further the story, consider going to these books, and just 1 page, and that it's up to your discretion, but you know where to go, and that's, if you pick them up, you pick them up. If not, at least now you know where to go.
It just seems like the opposite of marketing to me. Instead of saying, hey, there are these things that we want you to buy, it's like they're just ignoring the fact that they even exist, and then you're just left in the dark, and you go, okay, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, there aren't any other issues of Infinite Crisis. Those are the issues.
The 7,
right?
But
that's
there's
all
most
there is.
people. Yeah, most people. That's all they really would want anyway. I mean, they wouldn't want to get the crossover. So, I mean, like the Annihilation prologue came out, and they in the back had like descriptions of all the different cosmic characters, and I didn't read them. And I'm not even saying that because I didn't read them because I knew about them. I just didn't read them because it was enough what I got out of the story, and it was. I still had questions of like, how did the Nova Corps get to where they were, and what about Drax and stuff. But I said, you know what, I don't care. This is the start of the story. That's all. I don't need it. I don't need. Yeah. So, I think again, it's a.
Impatience?
No, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, well, we got another voicemail.
Hey guys, this is Dylan Northrup from Atlanta, Georgia again. One final thing that I forgot to mention in my previous message. I think that it's a little naive to think that DC doesn't want to sell as many comics as possible. And if they put a checklist in there that'll help folks find the issues that they need, that is something that marketing would say, go ahead and do it. If it's going to raise sales, go ahead and do it. And I think that the perception that if you need to have those comics in order to understand the story is going to be far outweighed by the increase in sales that they think that they might get. So, anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
I think that when you put those checklists out these days, after all these crossover events over the years, people look at it and go, "Ugh, now they're trying to get me to buy all this other crap."
That's why they stick a big banner on the books.
Yeah,
if they
really want you to know about it or have it, they put a banner on it.
Right.
But the banner doesn't tell you where it fits in the story. That's my problem.
So read, but if you read
with
the story,
DC right now with Infinite Crisis, the banners do because they keep backing up the issues of Infinite Crisis because the things that happen between 4 and 5 are during that month.
No, but I'm saying I don't know when I'm reading the story that between pages 5 and 6 is when I'm supposed to read Teen Titans, because then on page 6 of Infinite Crisis number 5 is where they do something with Superboy that I was confused. They don't tell you that. They don't tell you where in the story you're supposed to read what issue.
They come out. But they do come out.
They come out.
That.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is when they had those old things in the 80s when they had the asterisk, it was like right here, right now, this is when you go read Thor, right exactly on this page.
Yeah, I would not want that, because that to me is spoon feeding. That to me is
not spoon feeding.
I
don't think in Infinite
I think
Crisis,
it disrupts the story.
Yeah, I don't think in Infinite Crisis number 4, like the scene with Superboy here and Superboy here, I don't think you need to know that you have to read this in between. You just have to read it before the next issue of Infinite Crisis comes out.
Well, he's saying why wouldn't they mark it down so you know specifically to go read it?
But I mean, I don't think there's anything in the stories that needs.
Well, I don't
to
think
be that.
It was actually in Robin that Superboy winding up in the back to tank or whatever the hell it is. It actually played out, but
it's a 2-parter.
It didn't. I read it and I went, okay, he's in a tank.
Yeah,
he just had a fight. He's in a tank. So I don't believe. And obviously, they must know something that we don't. If marketing didn't fight for it.
They're not all geniuses.
Hey, you know what?
People in marketing screw up.
Books are selling, and people are buying them like by the dozens, and they're selling out. So I mean, obviously, it's working
Somebody's
on some
doing
level.
something.
Yeah.
That's it. We're done.
No, we're not done. Not yet. Adam, you have anything to say about that?
I kind of miss the asterisk footnotes too. I mean,
shut up.
All right, we don't need that.
What's that? 3 to 2?
$5 for this, baby me.
Wait, what? Say that last part again.
Baby me, I said.
Oh, baby you.
Spoon feed me, wipe my ass, the whole thing.
No burping?
Sure, why not? deluxe treatment.
Depends who's doing the burping.
Where's all my notes? Oh, I guess that is it. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. The photo contest. What did we get? Like 1 or 2 entries so far?
Yeah, you lazy bastards.
We are not extending it this time. We did the last time. We are not going to extend it this time. You got a week. Week.
I even saw a Digby trailer.
Did you really?
The other day when I was driving through Jersey. Unfortunately, it was on the Garden State Parkway, so it wasn't someplace I could stop and take a photo. But I saw one of those, and I thought, what the hell? They're out there all over the place.
Yeah. So, the photo contest. Take a picture in front of a comic-related sign, billboard, road sign, whatever. Have a CGS sign that says, I listen to CGS or whatever. Have a prop or costume piece that matches the comic reference. Take a picture, send it in to us, and whichever one we like or whichever one we get, if we only get one, they're going to win the Walking Dead trades.
Yeah.
It's a great prize, and we're going to just give it away to, if we only get one entry, that's who gets it. Hopefully we get more so we can pick and choose. So enter. You got a week. Less than a week as this airs.
Plus, don't forget V for Vendetta, Book of the Month.
Sorry.
Thank you, Matt.
Sure.
Get it at In Stock Trades.
Very good story.
No, we're not talking about it.
Well, I'm just saying. It's worth.
Maybe it's crap.
You're going to sway the audience?
That's not going to sway them. Yeah, because they always listen to me.
All right.
Okay, are we done now?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're done. This episode was sponsored by Make Like a Tree Comics. Make Like a Tree, MLATcomics.com. Once again, it's the joint imagination and productivity of Jerzy Drozd and Sarah Turner. Thank Jerzy for being on the show. You can go to their website to check out the front, File 49, Silver and the Periodic Forces, and the replacements. Great comics for if you have kids, get them into comics this way. And like I said, there are a whole bunch of issues of each of these things on this website. So you will definitely be able to check it out. And the Make Like a Tree comics will be at Heroes Convention in Charlotte this year. And so will we. So we look forward to seeing them out there. www.mlatcomics.com.
And thanks, Adam, for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
And we'll talk to you real soon.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck on your paper.
Not sooner.
Good luck on your paper.
Oh, thanks.
All right, man.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yeah. Good night, guys.
All right. To send us a voicemail, the number is 206-888-4805. And you can chime in on the to asterisk or not to asterisk. And to send us an email, it's comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. And our website is comicgeekspeak.com. Thanks to upallnightgaming.com for hosting the website. And please vote for us at Podcast Alley. The votes really do mean something for us. You got anything, Peter?
Yeah, we want to dedicate this episode to Drew. Parallax on the forum recently lost his father about a week and a half ago or a week ago. So we just want to say that we're thinking of you and the best to you and your family.
And a reminder that we're brought to you in conjunction with worldfamouscomics.com, your spot on the internet for the best comic book and entertainment-related columns, contests, features, reviews, news, resources, and more. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.